Hey guys, so today I thought I would film kind of like another follow-up of the video that I did. Well, I filmed it ages ago, but it only went up like last week. The video where I talk about when I went driving through the fire, and this time I'm talking about the time that I was having a driving lesson and I broke the wing mirror. I sort of may have had a crash during a driving lesson. Whoops. So this happened to me a couple of weeks ago now. I had 2 weeks off of driving because I was obviously moving back home and I didn't have time to really like sort anything out. So I hadn't driven for a while and I was nervous going back to it because I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna remember what I have to do and stuff. So when my instructor arrived at the house, we kind of sat in the car and she asked me what I wanted to do today. So I told her that I just wanted to kind of drive around and like get back into it. She was like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. So literally the plan was just to drive around for 2 hours. It didn't really turn out like that. To give you a bit of like context, the fire incident happened on like the 27th of July. So it was still quite recent. And so we started off driving. I was obviously going a bit slower just because I wanted to get back into it. And we'd driven to a new place that I hadn't driven around before. And that's always a good thing because, you know, when you're driving by yourself, you're going to be driving to loads of different places, not just sticking in the same area. So she took me to wherever we were. It was like maybe 15-20 minute drive. And all the roads were like really, really narrow. And my instructor was telling me that this area was one of the driving test areas. So they kind of test you on meeting cars because all the roads are really narrow and what you do and stuff. So we came to this one road and all the cars were parked up on the left-hand side. So that meant that I obviously had to start driving on the right. And so I'd started my little route down this road and I see this car, like my brain did one of those things where after the incident happened, it kind of blacked it all out. So I remember it happening and I remember bits of it, but I don't really remember specifics. So there was like a car coming towards me and I think it was like a minivan. It was a silver car, but it wasn't like a normal driving car. It was like slightly bigger, like a people carrier or something like that, essentially. So it was big and it wasn't stopping, so I didn't know what to do. And then I had my driving instructor talking to me and telling me something. I have no idea what she was on about, like, because I wasn't really focusing on whatever she was saying. And I know it wasn't something about, I'll like pull over or reverse. I know it wasn't that, because if she'd said that, I would have done that. So she was talking to me about something else and this car was coming at quite speed towards me and I was just a bit like, what the hell do I do? Because there was nowhere for me to pull over because I was on the right hand side of the road and I don't know why it didn't occur to me to stop and reverse, but I didn't for whatever reason. And then, so what I tried to do was kind of like move over to the left slightly just to give it a bit more space. And then whatever happened, you know, I don't know really what happened, but all of a sudden I hear a massive crack and my instructor's like, oh my God. And like, it's really hard to explain because I don't even know how it happened. I don't know what I did to make it happen, but I must have been going at some speed. I mean, that's the thing, I couldn't have been doing a lot because obviously there was a car coming towards me and, you know, there wasn't really much space, so I wouldn't have been going fast, but there must have been enough force for the back of the wing mirror to come off and for the mirror itself to crack. Yeah, I broke the driving instructor's car and I was really shaken up. I pulled over straight away, obviously, and I was shaking and my driver instructor was like, do you want me to like take you to somewhere else and like we can just sit and calm down? And I was like, yes, please. And like, I just felt so bad. So she got out the car, went to pick up the mirror that had sort of fallen off. And I got out and went and sat in the driver's seat. And I just started crying. It was one of those moments where you don't expect it to happen, and when it does, you're just like in shock. I was shivering, like it was uncontrollable. It was a horrible experience. And if that's what it was like for me in a driving lesson, not even like by myself, and I just broke the wing mirror, what would I be like if I actually had a proper crash? Like, I would be such a wreck. Like, I was crying so much, I was shaking, I couldn't talk. We literally sat in the car for like half an hour, 45 minutes, just waiting for me to calm down. And she drove me to a shop and she was like, get yourself some water, because typically that was the only day I forgot to bring water with me. So I went to the shop and bought it, and I just sat there trying to drink this water without like spilling it because my hand's so shaky. And I was texting Chris, I was like, oh my God, I just crashed the car. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it was just the wing mirror, but like still. And then I was worried about me having to pay for it. It was such a scary moment of my life. It doesn't sound scary because it was literally just the wing mirror, but it was something that I never expected to happen, and it was just horrible that it did happen. And it's making me feel like, ugh, just thinking about it. And luckily the car that I hit, which was a parked car, so it wasn't driving, was fine. My driving instructor went and checked it. She was like, there was no scratches on it, thank goodness, because if there were, we would have had to like call the police, and I would have been much more of a wreck than I already was. Thank you, Lord. I'm not religious, but thank you for not affecting the other car. And yeah, like I'm okay now. I've had lessons since that. The first lesson after that was like a little bit awkward because I sat down in the car and then I just saw the wing mirror and I just started laughing. I was like, oh, okay, I did that. She had to buy a new one. Like, I was all for paying for it, and she was like, no, don't worry, it's fine, these things happen, just make sure you learn from it. She was like, at least it happened now, not whilst you've passed and you're driving by yourself. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. She was just, bless her, she was making me feel okay. Like, she was doing her best to make me feel good about a really shit situation, and I really thank her for that. She didn't get angry at me at all, which I was really surprised about, but she was lovely, and I can't thank her enough for that. But it was a horrible experience, and please, if you are ever having lessons, just make sure you have enough room. Again, I don't really know how I managed to do it because I am always such a careful driver when I'm driving. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. And please just be safe on the roads, everyone, and learn from my mistakes. I wanted to share that with you because if you've ever had an incident while driving, you're not alone. I did too. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm a little bit in shock with me just talking about it, to be honest. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye!